Ready? But how are we going to get on? Keep like.
I'm going to do real low.
No, how are we going to get on the same? We need to say like 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
This is the Dana Loesch show where we talk about stuff.
Is it go time? Well, it is here. It's insane. I mean, well, and almost as much as the strategic patience. That's worked really well.
This is unthinkable to put this, to say this out loud, to write this down, and the administration calling it strategic patience. What they mean is inaction.
Well, I think that's a metaphor.
I'm not saying let's bomb anyone to smithereens, but surely the leader of the free world and mightiest military in history can come up with something a little bit better than hurry up and wait.
Much of this discussion is just stupid. If winning means turning the country over to Iran and Shia militias, which are every bit as vicious and ugly as ISIS, then that's not much of a victory, my friend.
He literally said minorities are committing crimes and then said, we got to get the guns out of this group's hands. I'm doing some wacky math here. This is 2 + 2. David Brock look just like Jack Frost from Santa Claus 3.
This is not a pretty situation.
It's cliche now to say the news is more honest on The Daily Show than it is Fox. People repeat that nonsense constantly, even Jon Stewart himself. But here's the reality. They aren't truth tellers, they're storytellers. These are guys that take pieces of news and bits of information and they sprinkle some barely detectable opinions and they leave out vital information, all to bake up some baloney narrative that pushes an agenda and gets guys like Barack Obama to soar into office. It made me hurt. It was like when I tried to watch my mom do the robot at a wedding reception. Stop being a skank. This is one of the most insane things that I've ever, I have a whole chapter in my book. Hold up. I have a whole chapter in my book devoted to the racial roots of gun control. There are no 2 greater factors that account for the destabilization in the world other than the situations in Syria and Ukraine. And the president's bold leadership calls for us to, quote, do nothing, just hope for the best, basically.
They are literally lying to the American public and saying, look, we're only going to deal with family matters.
Because a lot of times it's the state's responsibility to bring charges depending on the nature of the crime.
Exactly, and what concerns me is the first Republican in Dallas County, the district attorney, the only Republican sitting in Dallas says no comment. What are you going to do?
We need to find out why Susan Hawk has no comment.
Sharia disruptor.
The entire media is talking about how the 3 victims in the Chapel Hill shooting were Muslim and the guy who shot them was anti-religiously motivated, which is weird because I thought we weren't supposed to acknowledge motives like that. I mean, wasn't it just like a random shooting with a bunch of folks in a parking lot? You know, like when an avowed jihadist attacks a kosher deli? Anyway, they're trying to limit churches from using public schools and facilities on the weekend for worship, for gathering. What was the mood like in that courtroom?
All these factors came about in what ultimately led him to kill Kyle in Littlefield, which nobody disputes now. So he's not an alleged killer anymore. He is a killer. It's now he's an alleged murderer.
So we're in a constitution off. Whose is going to win? The state of Alabama's constitution or this idiotic federal judge that thinks it's totally fine to usurp the will and voice of the public in Alabama who have made this decision already? These federal judges, we are seeing some tyranny, folks.
This reminds me a lot of what's been going on for months in Yemen.
Yes.
I did not talk publicly about it because I didn't want to get anybody in our embassy killed. I was sending letters, sending them immediately in time, real time, over to the Secretary of State saying, Secretary Kerry, do you want another Benghazi? Get our people out of Yemen.
He's joined the Everytown effort. You know, the Michael Bloomberg-funded gun-grabbing group run by a shrieking harpy that uses armed security while telling everyone to take their chances. Did you think that we forgot about Brian Williams? No.
I don't think any credible person can say that that he has not been exposed as a liar, and your currency in the news business is your credibility.
Whether they like it or not,